Welcome back to Real Estate Mindset. Today I have Johnny Fly with us. Good morning to everyone. Happy Saturday. It's Saturday, right, Johnny?
It is. It is. At least here in California.
Johnny, the first thing I wanted to say, brother, is thank you for joining us, man. I love getting viewers. You know, you're going to be a future YouTube star, but I love getting viewers on the channel to talk about what they're, what's going on. I especially appreciate you, Johnny, because you're a pretty active member in the YouTube community. A lot of people don't know who you are, but have seen you. And a lot of times they think that you're serious in the things that, that you're saying. And really the reality is you're very intelligent. You have money set aside to invest in property. So today, what we'll do, guys, is we're going to go over basically some buyer's remorse. Johnny's going to tell us, again, Johnny's a viewer from pretty much the beginning, and I appreciate you, Johnny, is going to tell us just some situations he's seen in his market. You know, he's got experience with some family friends in Las Vegas, a little bit in Boise and in California. So he was alerted to some things that are going on right now in the market that is absolutely bonkers. Would you say, Johnny?
Yeah, it's definitely some weird, some shady stuff, some similar signs that I saw back in 2006 when I thought I could never own a home because it was getting too expensive. So it's kind of weird how it's all happening at the same time and almost in the same way that it happened before.
I'm trying to get Don't Move on here as well. Johnny, I appreciate your courage, man. Like, Don't Move won't come on. I don't see Jeff. I don't see vital signs. But anyways, good morning to everyone. I wanted to say good morning, Florida, Dean, Christy. I almost said good morning to you, Johnny, right here. Just because it's a habit. Scrog. We got Jeff here. We got pretty much everyone here. We got Florida Beach Bum. You guys, we'll take some of your questions. If you guys got some questions for Johnny, please shoot them up, and we'll answer those questions as we go along here. But Johnny, can you tell us, a little bit about what happened? You know, the situation, what happened. Now, basically, you have a family friend who reached out to you for help, right? And it doesn't seem like he's making wise decisions purchasing. But before you go into your story, can you tell us, is this person a millennial?
No,
Oh
he
my,
is he
they're
is
not.
I want to say around 62,
Hmm.
63, somewhere in there.
Okay. All right. So then it's fair to say that it's not just millennials that are obsessed with buying houses right now. Would you agree with that?
No, I mean, so with a lot of the events that I do selling these guys up here, I've been talking to a lot of people, and my number one thing I like to get into is real estate and trying to figure out what's going on in the world.
Yeah.
And they're all singing the same song. It's weird. You know, they're
What song
all
is that?
well, the song is, "Hey, I can't wait for rates to come back down so I can pull out equity on my house." Or I'm in the process of getting a second loan on my house right now.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, they're tapping into their equity. Now, tell us what happened. Okay. So, you had a family friend. You're like, Johnny, we see you on Real Estate Mindset. Help us out. Or what did they say exactly? Well, why did they reach out to you? You're a renter. Why would they reach out to you for help?
Well, so this family friend is my dad's best friend. And he retired a few years ago, went through a divorce, and he's not that well in touch with real estate. So he knows my background. Back a few years ago, I built a few homes from the ground up, watching YouTube videos. Honestly, I didn't know how to build a house. I didn't know how to hang cabinets or any of that stuff, and learned it all from YouTube.
Amazing.
So he reached out to my dad first because my dad owns a few rentals, and my dad's other good friend has roughly 250 doors here in Sacramento. So, but he's been doing it for 40 years. So yeah,
Okay.
he reached out to us. Reached out to my dad, and then my dad said, "Hey, John knows more about the stuff right now than I do because I'm not buying real estate, but you might want to talk to him." And that just kind of opened up the door for the conversations we had. So I don't know if you want to go backwards in time a few years when this all started, but we can go there and then go to where we ended up here in the last couple days. Then
Well, I mean, so basically, long story short, why they reached out to you, and a lot of people don't realize, John. That's why I try to tell the viewers, the subscribers, the people in our community who you are. A lot of people only think you're a troll. I'm like, he's not just he's a troll. He's not just a troll, but you've built several houses. You've invested in real estate. You have money to continue to invest in real estate. However, you've decided to step out of the house market, essentially waiting. A family friend reached out to you. He's currently wants to sell his house. We'll just call your family friend Sonny. All right. So your family friend Sonny reaches out to you, and tell us what he basically has his home listed in Vegas. So he wants to sell his house in Las Vegas, and he wants to move back to Northern California, right?
Yep.
So talk about Vegas. So he purchased a house in Vegas as his primary residence. Is that right?
Yeah. So this is roughly 8 or 9 months ago. Um, he had purchased up in Idaho outside of Boise, and he moved up there for his daughter because his daughter had got married and moved up to Idaho, and she was going through a divorce, moved back to Northern California, and then he decided that he wanted to try somewhere different, somewhere that he's never lived before. His son lives in Las Vegas, so he thought he could move there and have a closer relationship with his son, but his son has his own family and life going on. And he also didn't really tour the neighborhood or go to the surrounding areas where he's moving to. Bought the house within a week, was telling me and my father that he wanted to sell and did not like the area.
Okay. So you're talking about a roughly a 60-year-old man, okay, that has become so obsessed with purchasing home or so obsessed with investing in real estate that he's making decisions like a child. And I'll say it, I know he's a family friend, you don't have to say it, but making decisions like a child. You don't purchase real estate sight unseen, Johnny. You know that. So this man, fair enough, he wanted to move close to his son. Admirable. I love my children. He buys a house in Vegas, doesn't even look at the house, doesn't even look at it. He closes on the transaction without seeing it. Is that, or did he at least see
Well,
it before
he
closing?
flew down, went to the sales office. They took him into the home and he said, I'll take it. And then flew right back to Idaho and started packing up.
So 8 months goes by, and now he wants to sell this house. But is there any profit in the house?
So when he bought the house, he got a high 4% interest rate. They did a huge buy down. So upgrades throughout the house that they gave him in that time. So keep in mind, 9 months ago, that's when we had that big dip. So he has about $30,000 in equity, which is taking care of the bulk of his expenses of selling. So it's like a net break even.
And then how much is the house worth,
I
roughly, would you
think
say?
I think the last offer that he got was 470,
Okay.
somewhere in
I
there.
want to show people, Johnny. First of all, one of the issues that I've been warning people about, and you understand this, it's like the danger in purchasing an overpriced house, right? It's dangerous to do that. We've seen multiple times in history where values have completely collapsed. And the thing that I've been really trying to like the bare minimum that I'm trying to like explain to people when it comes to selling their house is how expensive it can get, Johnny. It's not like if our house goes up $10,000 in equity, we can just grab that equity. We have to pay tremendous cost, and equity is not liquid, and that's why they don't consider home values. Really, it's not an asset because, well, it is an asset, so but it's not liquid. And let me show really how bad it is. You can't see that, can you?
No, I see a black
Makes me
screen.
sad.
There
Huh?
we go. You're back now.
I know, but I wanted to draw, man. You know how I love to draw. I can't draw. Darn it. Why
In the
isn't this
notes
working?
section of your iPad.
Yes, it was the notes section of my iPad, but I wanted to. Darn it, I can't do it. Why is that not working? I feel like you did something. Look at it, dude. It's not working anymore. You know what it is? When I went to go turn on that light and fell over and broke something in my studio, this must have also broke. You guys, when I got so nervous because I was so excited to see Johnny that I was falling all over the place, broke the Bernie Sanders right here, but it is what it is. I'm just happy you're here. But my point is, Johnny, it's just like to sell your house can cost up to 8%, it's usually 6% in realtor commissions, and then another 2% in closing costs. So if he's trying to sell his house for $470,000, when we multiply that by 8%, that's a total of $37,600.
Yeah, so that's roughly what he has in equity, according to
So,
him. I haven't looked at numbers actually for him, but that's what he states.
so actually, I have that right here. So, I mean, here's the calculator right here. All I did, guys, is I put 470,000 like this times 0.08%. 37,600. So this experienced man bought a house sight unseen, and it doesn't even seem like he has 8% in equity, which would be $37,600. So has anyone like did his agent give him a breakdown of what his profit would be in selling the house?
I would assume so. I didn't get into that part of the conversation with him. We got more in the weeds about the high pressure that she was putting on him to close the deal and to move on to his next home.
So like this, I mean, here's a question from Noah. It's just like, why instead of, because I don't like personally, I don't think that we should sell our real estate, Johnny. I think that we should hold our real estate because there's just so much advantages of doing it when you purchase a house that's reasonably priced. That's a fair deal. So Noah, good point, but he's asking, can you rent it? But my question is if someone's purchasing in 2023, they're probably purchasing houses that are still overvalued, still in a housing market bubble, depending on the metro, with a high interest rate. So, do you know if he can even cash flow if he wants to rent it out, Johnny?
I would assume he can't, but more importantly, he's the type of person that needs the down payment that he put down to pay for the next house.
Okay, so really, even though, so say he sells for 470, he doesn't have the equity. Say he has to come to the table with $7,000. He still gets a portion of his down payment back, right?
Right.
And that's what I try to explain to people, Johnny, on down payments. It's like down payments is as long as the house value doesn't go down, that down payment comes back to you. It's not like you're wasting your down payment. Your down payment is your money. Your house is your piggy bank. So the more money you put into your house, generally it's safe, generally, except when we have markets like this. So he wants to sell in Vegas now after 8 months. He had an epiphany and decided maybe he jumped the gun. Maybe he shouldn't have ran out to Vegas. He probably can't cash flow. He probably has to sell because he needs the liquidity. He needs the money. He wants to now move to California. He calls you excited, saying he's going to get a great deal on a house. Is that right?
Well, yeah. So this transpired about 2 weeks ago where he called my dad and me. Well, actually, sorry, sent us both a text. We're in a group chat together. Um, Sent us a text and said, "Hey, I think I'm going to sell the house. It's been on the market and I'm going to move back to Roseville." Um, and the conversation kind of went from there. "Oh, are you getting offers on the house?" He's like, "Yeah, we had one guy that was going basically submitting the same cash offer, well under his asking price. And he kept doing it. He finally told that guy, go away. I'm not going to deal with you anymore." And, but he was going to put an offer in on this house in Roseville and still wait for this other house to close, right? For his house to sell. So you want me to go into the full story about what transpired right now?
Well, no. I mean, the thing I really wanted to point out, man, is like the obsession. I wanted to really just hone in on the obsession. I mean, and the obsession is not just with young adults. It's not just with millennials. The obsession right now has infected America and has infected really anyone that's got a little, even if people don't have money, it's affected them too. Like everyone's obsessed, but the people with money, it's crazy to me, Johnny, that we see these people, in my opinion, they're throwing away money. He basically, what you left out was he's called you up. Your family and friend called you up, said, I found a house in California. He said, Johnny, this house is under market value, right? He's excited. This guy's all over the place. He's emotional. He's not making decisions based on data. He's making decisions based on like what's right in front of his face. He's not thinking about this. And you come to find out the house that he wanted to move to in California now, because he's flip-flopping all over the place, he tells you, says, Johnny, this is a great deal. You ask him, how's it a great deal? He says it's under market value for $30,000. Okay. Oh, great. Even though it's in California, we want it under market by 200,000, but whatever, 30,000 under market. Fast forward to today, you find out that it's an unfinished flip and probably takes more than $30,000 to fix. Is that right?
Well, yeah. So when he's describing this home to us, he said, "Hey, new crown molding, new flooring, new cabinets, new countertops, fresh paint. It's going to be a really nice home. They did a really good job, or it's going to be a nice home." And he's really excited about it, and it's close to where he used to live, so he feels like he's going to be right back at home. And then in a later conversation, we find out from him that, oh no, the new flooring is sitting off to the side. The old flooring is still in. We never even saw the pictures of the house. Countertops were not installed. Paint was done on the inside. So the painting was done. but the crown molding not installed. It's still sitting out in the garage. So it was a flip where the person basically didn't want to put any more work into it, wanted to sell it,
Yeah.
and you had to finish all the work.
And it's a mess. So like, but this is a grown, I almost said the A word. This is a grown man, Johnny. This is a grown man who's went through hard times in life, right? You would think that he has thick skin. What the hell is this man doing? First of all, I mean, he's probably going to take a loss in Las Vegas. He probably can't convert it. He's purchasing real estate sight unseen. He's flipping now back less than a year later, trying to come to California. And instead of like, Johnny, look at this data, look at this market analysis. He's like, oh, it's a little bit under market value. This is probably a great deal. I mean, what's wrong with people, Johnny? I mean, why aren't people purchasing? Well, here's the thing. I get it. Like most people want to just buy a roof over their head. Okay, I get that part, but why does it just seem like people are using their emotions to purchase real estate right now? Why does it seem that way? Do you think that's true?
I'm seeing people, well, one, the people that don't own a house right now wanting to buy, they're doing whatever they can to buy. The people that own and have equity in their houses, for some reason, they want to pull equity out. I don't hear a lot of people talking about selling their existing homes. I haven't heard too much about that, but a lot of people that want to pull out equity, sometimes to pay off debt. In the case of another family member, they want to, in 2006, they pulled out equity out of their home to buy 2 H1s and 1 H2 Hummer. And they had to foreclose, or not foreclose, short sell that house. They had family buy the new house they're living in and allow that one go back to the bank. And they're talking about doing essentially the same thing now.
I,
So it's all the
but
same 2006 talk that I'm having right now.
so let's just to reiterate this, and I'm glad that there's someone else telling me this, Johnny, because like most people are starting to get it. Be cautious, don't have a crystal ball, but oh my God, like things are so unaffordable. I mean, so you're talking about some people that got basically burned the last time around during the great financial collapse by making poor decisions, financial decisions. Fast forward to today, you're essentially noticing that they're fitting that same type of mental obsession, that same type of desire that kind of takes over your mindset. And, you know, I've seen it happen all the time. I mean, people that are grown and raised correctly with morals, the American way, ethics, brother, it goes right. Why does it go right out the door when someone wants something really bad? People don't need a house. People want it so bad that they're burying themselves, brother. They're burying themselves. I don't care if they're 18 years old. I don't care if they're 60 years old. Purchasing in
We're
2023 right
Americans,
now, so
though.
far, overall, it's so dangerous unless you're doing things like, Jeff was doing. He didn't give up. He went in savvy. I mean, he's really hunting. He's saying, yeah, I'm emotional. I want to buy a house, but just because I'm emotional, I want to buy a house doesn't mean I'm going to sacrifice the principles, how I was raised. I was raised to save my money, Johnny. I was raised to spend what I earned. I was raised, if I want something, earn it. Right? I wasn't raised. Let me wait for the next bailout. Let me call my parents to get a down payment. I was raised what I believed was the right way. And man, I'm nervous about it. I threw up a comment right here, Johnny. We're just going to some comments here. By the way, Orlando's in the building. I wanted to keep this up from MFH. So his question is, and maybe we can both answer this. It's funny. I texted you last night. You remember about Meet Kevin? So he was wondering I don't know if you watched his Meet Kevin's video. He did a video yesterday on the housing market. And it's so funny. You remember? Because he referenced actually the same article that Johnny and I were going to go over with you guys, which is this article here. So, did you hear that video, first of all, from Meet Kevin?
I watched one or two of his yesterday. I think it was the one that came out last night.
Yeah.
Yeah,
On the
I watched
housing
that one.
market.
Yeah.
So, I'll comment first on that. I think when it comes, so I got to be careful, man. I know I upset a lot of people, but as far as like Meet Kevin, the guy's been an inspiration to me, man. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. I don't agree with everything he says at all, but I mean, he's hustling and he provides perspective. That I don't always agree with. And honestly, I think that sharpens me. So I don't have any issues with that. But his point is, Johnny, that some markets are crashing. Like some markets have homes with low prices. Kevin's thing is hunt, find a deal with Wedge, find a deal with cash flow, and we're going to go all in, man, and we're going to take over this housing market. Let's go, investors, right? I get it. He's an investor. He wants to invest that way. I don't think that's good for us as consumers. I don't think that's good for the housing market, but it's not illegal. Maybe it should be. Maybe they should be taxed hard on that. But as far as his perspective, Kevin, I think his perspective is, unless we have a lot more inventory overall in the U.S., then the housing prices are going to normalize and sustain. That's what I got from his perspective, and honestly, I appreciate it because Johnny, I'm not sitting here like, oh, I'm right about everything, no matter what. Like, I'm questioning myself every day. I'm questioning, why did home prices rebound so aggressively this year? Why did we avoid recession? What play did the bailouts have? I'm asking myself these questions. So I appreciate people that have a different perspective that can explain their opinion. And, I think, though, last thing, and I'll let you go. I think that still, though, we still have to be careful buying into only supply and demand matter, because there's things that influence supply. There's things that influence demand, like higher interest rates. So I think we have to be careful only looking at that. And plus, Johnny, we had the start of mid last year, around May to June or July last year. We had a kind of historical price decline. At least it was exceeding the GFC, right? So it's important to note we had the price decline with lower inventory than we have now. The price decline started last year with lower inventory than we have right now. Now, year over year, we have less inventory active listings, but I'm saying the price decline started in June. So there's a lot more at play here. What I'm looking at, Johnny, is like PE ratio, price to earnings now. But the bulls think that this will normalize. The bulls think that overall housing prices will normalize and consumers will be able to afford it. And that was my take on what he was saying. What about you?
Well, so first off with me, Kevin, people have to understand he's in a much different position than the average person,
Oh,
right?
yeah,
For his personal, he has a personal house, and then he bought another house as a block away to have 4 different studios in. So, and a gaming room. So it's a lot different from the average person sitting in the house that they're running, the apartment they're renting, or the small house they own, or the big house, whatever it may be, right? He's in a much different situation. On top of that, he has millions of followers. He bought a personal jet to fly all over the country to look at homes and to talk to real estate agents that are reaching out to him to give him the inside track on what's going on. So you're not going to have that connection that he has. And on top of those realtors are saying, hey, I have a house that's been sitting. I know what my person will sell it for. You can get it for this if you throw in a cash offer. And he has thousands of people giving him money right
yeah,
now for house
yeah,
hacks. So
yeah,
his situation is very different from yours. He can stand to lose a couple $100,000. I personally can't.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's number one. Number two, I think he has a good perspective on the housing market as
Mm-hmm.
far as he does have all that inside knowledge from all these different people. He's went and been on the ground to all these different cities. So he does have a lot of relevant information, and it's updated information and not information we're pulling from 2 months ago sales, right? He has the right now information. But he also has the knowledge about taking a house that has a cracked foundation, that has mold
Yeah.
issues, remediating it and getting it back on the market either for sale or as a rental. So he's in a
Yes.
very different spot
Yeah.
um than us. But yeah, I think and to his point, he's talking about, yeah, there's certain areas like Boise. I go up to Idaho twice a year. I used to have a family friend that lived there. So I've gone up there. I've seen all the expansion they have through the town of Middleton. The main road is 1 lane each way, but yet at 5 o'clock every single day when people are going to dinner, there's traffic for miles back to back, in each direction. So they don't have the infrastructure. They're building really fast. A lot of even builders that I used up in Oregon open up operations in Idaho to start building homes, and they have new homes everywhere.
Yeah.
Small little
Yeah.
farm towns that have nothing to offer
Yeah.
have huge brand new community. So and then on top of that, when I was driving out to Yellowstone
Mm-hmm.
going towards Idaho Falls, you're looking at farmland for miles and
Yeah.
miles and miles, nothing around. But all of a sudden,
Beautiful.
there's 500 brand new homes sitting over
Right.
here off to the right, and then
Right.
nothing again for miles. The closest
Crazy.
Costco is an hour away, you know? So
Right.
it's just, I think places like Boise are going to struggle. The places that really expanded fast are going to struggle right now. And that might be your opportunity. If you're looking for a new home, you can work from home. Hey, one of
Yeah.
those houses you might be able to get a steal on right now.
I'm gonna say this, Johnny. I've been dealing with the like in the ditches with consumers for 22 years. So I understand like the struggles of consumers, credit, income, asset. It's always the same thing. Mindset's always the same thing. Not giving up hope. Um, but there's one thing I always try to do as like an industry professional helping homeowners, and that's man, try to invest in your primary residence like an investor, right? And I get a lot of pushback on that, Johnny. They're like, no, I just want a roof over my head, and I'm like, I get it. But the thing is the housing market could be so toxic. There could be so much institutional purchasing, uh, even foreign investors that don't even live here. That you know, and on top of that, Johnny, there's so many bad agents. There's so many bad reps that, I've seen over 22 years, just people continuously taking advantage of other people's emotions. And really, I guess deep down what I'm doing is I'm pleading with people that are on the sidelines to like wake up to how to invest in real estate. Because here's the reality, Johnny. I can find houses in my housing market right now that are at 2020 prices right now. And no one's talking about a crash in Houston. But because of my knowledge on the housing market, because of my MLS skill, the wedge, the cash flow, I have that skill. But when I go and I look at social media and I go to these conventions and I watch realtors, no one is talking about that. No one is talking about how to really help the consumer out. My broker is rare. My broker does talk about it, but I'm just sick and tired of the cheerleading because the realtors and professionals are talking about the wrong thing. The realtors and professionals should be talking about how to buy real estate and be safe. And right now, buying real estate overall, it's not safe. Now, it depends on the consumer and how well prepared they are, right? Now, let's go to the next thing, John. I love your perspective, brother. A lot of people didn't know, you had it in you. So I was like, no, I'm bringing Johnny on here. This guy's smart. Like they don't realize. So here's a good question from Guy right here. Obviously, I get beat up, Johnny. People are like, what do you think, Travis? And I give him my projection. And if I'm not right, sometimes I get beat up and I don't even care, man. At this point, it's just like, it takes a little bit of courage to put yourself out there. Um, but one thing I love to do is ask why. If I'm right, why? If I'm wrong, why? As long as we're asking why and we're adapting, we're good. It's the people that keep their heads in the sand or stay in the same narrative, despite the facts and data that's the problem here. So, what do you think about recession? In Q4, the question is, do you think recession is going to basically happen in Q4? And I'll tell you, Johnny, I thought that we would have started recession at the beginning of this year. Um, and that's when we would have the job loss, continuation of price decline. That was bumped up. Some people, Johnny, they even with the yield curve inversions, even with the economic indicators, so many at this point, there's multiple now, right? What do you think about the recession?
So how can I not? Okay. So without being political, last year we had 2 quarters of negative GDP, and they said
Mm-hmm.
that's not a recession, right?
Yep.
I
Yep.
think the estimates right now, GDP or CPI is going to come in at 4.8 for this quarter, and they're going to start leaning on, oh no, look, GDP's up. We're how can we be in a recession? So I personally think that we're in a mild recession right now, especially for all the people I've listened to on YouTube and digging into the data they provide. I think personally we're in one right now, but it's not going to be called. We're heading into an election cycle. You know, nothing against the current powers that be, but they're going to do everything they can to prop up the economy so that way they look good on paper, they get reelected. So I don't know if it's ever going to be called, but I feel like we're in one right now. If you look at layoffs going on right now, AT&T, T-Mobile announced layoffs. Walmart just lowered their starting wages for
Yeah.
employees in certain
Yeah.
areas.
Yeah.
So, um, the labor demand must be going down, and the available labor to fill those positions must be going up. A lot of these people are making, money on side hustles and stuff. They're starting to struggle. I know, because my shop right now is on Etsy, and I'm a part of a whole bunch of Etsy groups, but they're talking about their sales are down 40 to 50% right now. They don't understand what's
Jeez.
going on. So a lot of those people that were making 200 grand a year selling hats, like I do, I don't make 200
What?
grand a year. Yeah. There's big players in the hat market, but a lot of those people are saying, I'm struggling to get sales. They're now starting to get sued, especially by Disney. So their shops are getting shut down. So it's a weird thing that we're going through right now. But as
Yeah.
far as recession, I don't know if it'll be called, but it feels like we're in one right now.
It does, man. I mean, and then with the data revisions, Johnny, I mean, all the data continuously revised downward, right? I mean, come on, it's a trend. They're not talking about the downward revisions in data. The thing is, man, it's like I'm so disgusted with the changes of definition. Like, what do we know is recession? Like negative GDP. But now all I'm looking for, I don't even care now about soft landing, hard landing, recession, no recession. Like I'm looking at, let's just fast forward to what a recession is for us. It's unemployment. So I'm watching the unemployment, and the interesting, Johnny, thing about unemployment, as crazy as this is, it tracks mortgage delinquencies almost exactly. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? I mean, it makes sense, but it's crazy how unemployment goes up, defaults go up, unemployment goes down, defaults go down. So now that we've finally, after what, 16 months or something, maybe even more than that, I think it's what, yeah, about 16 to 18 months of quantitative tightening. Finally, we've had an increase, and I hate to say it, but finally we've had an increase in unemployment. And in month over month, that increase was 30 basis points. So annualized, that's an additional 360 basis points. You add that to the current unemployment. Quite frankly, unemployment gets to 6%. If unemployment gets to 5 and 6%, and the mortgage delinquencies follow that, okay, so now we have a 5 to 6% mortgage delinquency. I could pretty much let people know right now that if that happens, these lenders will be less motivated to do loan modification. The lenders that are suffering because they can't make money, you're not going to be able to work with them as better. They're going to be worried about getting bought out or merging with someone else. So the thing is just, it's going to be very interesting, Johnny. As far as the recession, though,
Well, keep in
you
mind,
can't have any.
unemployment will shoot up quick.
Yeah,
I was
always.
watching a video by Eurodollar University last night. I don't know if you know who that guy is. Uh, pretty intelligent dude, but he's a part of the rebel capitalist group, like that group of
Oh yeah,
people. But
love
he was
that.
showing the unemployment stuff, back in, was it 2007 or 8, went up by a percentage point and a quarter, but then the next quarter went up by like 4 or 5%. So it can happen real quick.
Oh
As soon
yeah,
as these big companies know that other companies are laying off, someone
yeah,
has to take the first big step, right? And the
yeah.
heat all goes on them. So then Walmart goes, okay, cool. The heat's on target. We can go ahead and lay off now.
Every time.
Amazon, yeah, and then Amazon goes, "Oh, cool! They already made the headlines. We'll do our layoffs over here." So it will be a very rapid change, in my opinion, at least from what I've seen in the past. So I know when I worked at Verizon and AT&T started doing layoffs, then we started getting in management meetings. Okay, we're gonna start doing layoffs, and here's how we're gonna do it. So someone just has to take that first big step of a mass layoff. Right now, they're doing small little chunks here and there, but if we get a couple big ones that happen, I think we start to see the dominoes fall.
I mean, and honestly, brother, I mean, I am worried about people because no one, like literally, absolutely no one, and we'll get into these questions. Absolutely no one plans for unemployment. You know, I've tested people. I've helped really one person from this channel, and I begged her not to buy. I don't know if she's on right now. I begged her not to buy, and she swore to me, she's like, Travis, I'm prepared. I'm prepared. I'm prepared. 8 months later, she needs to move. She's upside down, bro, in Austin, bro. So it's just, I'm scared for people. I know what it feels like to lose everything, foreclosure, repo, bankruptcy. It's a tough lesson, and not everyone can get through that and be positive afterwards. So anyways, Johnny, let's look at this next thing here. Some markets may be crashing, but you can't base 4 city examples and apply it to the whole country. I think what we're applying, at least what I'm applying to the whole country, is PE ratio, unaffordability, price run up, like really important things like affected like every single metro area that normally doesn't happen like that. Like normally it's localized. It wasn't localized this time. So I would agree, though, for sure. And Jeff and you both helped, and so did Vital, help me understand. And that's why I've tried to tone down like how passionate I get, even though I think this is a complete sham. I think the market is going to collapse. I think people that are not paying attention are going to get blindsided. But I've toned it down because there are some markets, Miami, St. Louis, um, other markets like that, that Johnny, they have, especially Miami, I don't understand. They've sustained prices so far, but we're still in quantitative tightening. Unemployment just started getting out of control. If we were through this stuff, Johnny, and everything was reinverted, we went through the recession, went through unemployment, and then, and the price sustained, I'd be like, okay, I was wrong. And guess what? If I'm wrong, I get to sell real estate again. A part of me wants to be wrong, Johnny, but brother, I don't believe it. I don't believe that things are going to normalize overall. I believe, yes, in some localized areas, but can you tell the viewers from your perspective, Johnny, how important is local area?
Well, it's huge. So, where I live in Folsom, California, we're doing really good right now as far as real estate goes. Houses are selling as they come on the market. What are we at? 2% up year over year. So we're holding strong. Um, a fun statistic that I looked into is where are people moving from into Folsom? So I think it was a total of 15,000 over the last couple of months moved to Folsom. So we had a plus 15,000 increase in Folsom, but 13,000 of that came from San Francisco.
Yeah.
So right there, the Bay Area, in the brief market research I did about my small city, my small town, um, kind of makes me believe that San Francisco is still struggling. And then the rest of them came from Chicago, New York, Washington, D.C., and Austin. So, yeah. So I think personally, it is the housing market is definitely not one moving beast. It's hyper localized, but on top of that, you're looking at the big driver for slowing down the price increases and slowing down the sales is interest rate. If they drop the rates back down to zero and someone can get a 3% mortgage, who knows what happens to inventory?
Yeah.
My instinct is that it jumps up as people are stuck in their homes, they don't want to sell and they want to buy something different. It jumps up and then it skyrockets back down. That would be
Right.
my thought.
I agree with you. Depending on the condition of the consumer, right? Like if they drop interest rates in the midst of unhinged unemployment, it don't matter if rates go down to 6% right now because everyone's worried about, am I going to lose my job tomorrow? So that's the sediment that we need, unfortunately, and it is sad to be honest with you because I mean we're talking about people that are just trying to keep up with the inflation and to afford to live. So to like say like that's the missing piece here is very sad. It's very sad to me because I feel like as Americans and as consumers overall, we're paying for the mistakes and greed of other people, and it makes me sad, man. Let me throw really good stuff, man. I really appreciate it. So here's a
Go,
quote. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Going back to Orlando's quote you had up there, what about
Yeah.
that ad I sent you the other day for a HELOC?
Yeah, you sent me.
Remember I sent you via text message where the guy is
Yeah,
walking down the street. Oh, it's so easy just to pull equity out of my
yeah.
house. They gave me
You know,
this little card right here.
yeah. No, it's so funny because that same day Orlando like released a video, or like he sent me a video to review, and it was the same thing that you sent. I was like, no way, Johnny's just sent me this video on this magical HELOC credit card, which whatever it is, what it is, man. I mean, it's an ATM machine. When people treat their house like an ATM machine, it's not going to go well, depending on what they do with the money. Now, here's the thing from Noah. He has a rule when it comes to purchasing real estate. So what he's saying is his rule is to purchase a home that has 30% of wedge, or rather 30% under market value. And I think that's hard to find these days. But my point is there are houses like this, guys. There are houses right now with a good realtor. Oh, first of all, depending on the metro area, like I'm talking about Houston, where we can find houses 20, 30% under market value. But it takes action and plans and someone that's aggressively seeking. But what do you think about this rule for an investor, a 30% rule? I mean, I like a 30% cushion. I don't necessarily think it has to be 30% depending on the price point. But I think it's very wise to purchase real estate with the cushion, because if values go down, you could still refinance, perhaps, depending on how they go down. If values go down, you could still sell. So in other words, you're not as trapped with cushion. If you have no cushion, you are trapped. What are your thoughts on that?
When I was building houses, I wouldn't do it unless I thought I can get 30 to 40% return.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so his number is right. My only thing is right now, to get that 30% market cushion, you got to buy the undesirable and make it desirable. You got to
Yeah.
buy something that nobody else wants to touch.
Right.
Looking at new homes and what they're offering, I think if I was buying a house tomorrow, I would be looking at a new home, or the thing that's been on the market for 200 days that someone just needs to get rid of. Um,
Yeah.
one of the land deals I did up in Oregon, it was an estate sale. They were selling the properties that the father had owned. So I put an offer in on one, not knowing there was the other two. My real estate agent told their agent that, hey, this guy is an investor he's going to build on. I think this is part of an estate, right? Yeah, yeah. We have two other properties. Cool. Let's talk him into buying all three. So she came back to me and told me what she had said, and they wanted roughly 40 grand per property. I offered 90 grand cash for all three, and they took it.
You never know. You never know. And that's why I try to tell people, Johnny, like my first role when I used to put consumers in action plans is not to give up hope. The moment that I'm not talking about false hope, I'm talking like the good hope, the American hope, where if I work hard, I make more money. If I save, I achieve. So when people give up hope, they give up on themselves. And I think that the system right now, especially right now, wants people to give up hope. But the reality is like, look at what Jeff did. Look at what some of the other people have done in San Diego. They stayed hopeful. They understood their goals and they went after them. They didn't stay frozen. They didn't stay in fear. But again, the thing is like, my worry though is, Johnny, it depending on how people are investing, depending on the market, a good deal today may not be a good deal a year from now. There's
Or
no,
it could be an amazing deal, right? No one
yeah.
has that 100% crystal ball. I know of an individual that made me a bet for $1 that said we're going to be over 1 million active listings and
What are
have
we at right
negative.
now?
What are we at? 790.
Yeah, almost 800,000. I got 3 months. It would have to be historical, right? We never get inventory in these 3 months, but I still got 3 months, man.
But you also
Um,
said negative year over year,
I still
which
got 3 months, man. I don't care.
uh,
You know what? I've seen it change like this. If the sentiment changes, if consumers are aware of like PE ratio, affordability, how easy house values can crash, how we actually do have 15 million vacant houses actually, and they start waking up, I could still see it happening, but it needs to happen sooner than later. Here's something, Johnny, from Dental Coverage. He's Johnny Fly. If my rent is $825 for one bedroom, he sold his boat, motorcycle, and double beds. Why you got to do the double beds? Water and internet cable included. 200K cash and savings. 4.6 passive income on 750. Why buy? So I mean, he's basically saying he's making money right now, taking his liquidity that he would normally probably use as a down payment for a house. He's probably putting it in treasuries, and he's doing well. He's living a comfortable life. He's happy. He's probably increasing his credit as well, and he's not locked in. He's not in a prison. I agree that unless it's a house you love, it's affordable, it's a great deal. Why would you trade what you have right now as a renter, saving money, making money, building credit, not that stressed out? Why would you trade that to potentially join this other 90% of people that have buyer's remorse?
well,
So what do you think?
I think why you would want to make that change is, one, if you hate renting an apartment and dealing with it. I have upstairs neighbors, I have downstairs neighbors. I walk my dog outside. Families walk by that are a little bit annoying to me with how they're acting. Like it's just, if you want to own a house, if you want to have your own space, if you want a little bit of land, or if you like being around people and you want to be closer, to people, you want to live in a big city. Everybody has their reasons of why they want to buy and make their own little nest egg. But if you're looking to buy today, you have to be looking for the deals. You can't
Yeah,
just
man.
I'm gonna wake up tomorrow and go buy a brand new house. As we see with my friend in my Vegas, my Vegas friend that's moving to Roseville or back to the Sacramento area. Um, there's been a couple instances in this recent sporadic buying experience where he could take some heavy losses, and
Yeah.
he's got lucky.
Yeah, I mean, buying right now is not the same as before 2022. It's completely different people. Overall, obviously, there's like I said, there's still some people that can find some deals, but overall, people aren't finding great deals. People are buying overpriced houses because they're obsessed with home ownership. That's what's happening right now. Here's a great comment right here. This is from Black Chain Professionals. He's basically said 40% money supply increase, which is M2, 40% home price increase. Not sure we will see an abrupt drop in prices, maybe like a 5% annual decline, only if interest rates aren't cut. Do you have any opinions on how the M2 money supply tracks S&P and home price growth?
I don't have any direct input on that, but I can tell you right now they're trying to burn the money supply. So, um, mortgages, loans, those are freezing up. You're seeing the Fed sell off their balance sheet. They're sucking money out of the system right now, while China is dumping our currency back on us. So it's a interesting time. But I mildly agree that we're not going to see a flash crash. But I think for the next couple of years, we're going to see the housing market kind of skip along, maybe with subtle decline. So
Yeah, I mean, and then also, dude, if we have a recession and we have unhinged unemployment, well, it depends on the bailout. But if they don't bail out, this will probably keep going down. I mean, it's the first time in 75 years that the M2 has actually gone down. I mean, that's a huge deal. But it also tells us how much money was even pumped into the system to begin with, which was way too much money. Some
well,
great questions. Go ahead.
and if you're one of those people that are hoping for a housing market crash, you're hoping for the black swan, right? I think what we have right now, which people are talking about, but they're really not giving it credit, is commercial real estate's crashing, right?
Yeah, man.
That doesn't directly affect residential, but when these large REITs have to show that they're making profits and they're holding on to a lot of residential, just like any good investor, they're going to have to rebalance their portfolios. And where they have money is in these homes that are appreciated. What they don't have is the ability to get money for cheap. So they're not going to go out and get big loans to buy these commercial real estate properties, pennies on dollars. They might pull their equity. They might start liquidating residential to buy the commercial real estate, knowing that they can, one, try to convert it to housing of some sort, or two, that it's going to appreciate in the future. So I think that is, in my opinion, what I'm looking at and what I'm seeing, that might be the area where we get the inventory.
Yeah, from institutional investor ownership, and then also, dude, we have the STR thing, specifically the banning going on. We have the short-term rental banning, but also another thing. Can you see me? Can you hear me?
No, I can hear
Okay.
you, but your screen is black.
You know what it is? You know why it's black? Um, I think my battery just died. So, anyways, totally lost my train of thought, dude. That was super embarrassing. Dude, the black swan. Another black swan is the massive amounts of inventory that's about to come on the market for rental units. I actually found a subscriber sent me an article, man, and when we look at the quarter over quarter growth of housing rental units, it's like two times higher year over year, quarterly, that's about to hit the market. So the more inventory we get in the rental market, the more pressure should be put on prices to come down. If the prices of rents come down, that could and probably will have a domino effect. And if, again, all of this catalyst, eventually get to the housing market, if the prices of houses go down in addition to that, this entire thing is a domino effect. This entire thing will be a domino effect. And we already know they've money printed so much to where we have asset bubbles. We know that consumers are drowning in debt. We know that consumers are supposed to be broke in exactly 3 weeks. We know that school loans are going to start in 3 weeks. The government is supposed to shut down this month. We have an election next year. Like, geez, man, name a black swan, right?
Well,
There's a lot of uncertainties that
I
people
mean,
have
you can
to.
talk about Germany's recession and their manufacturing going down. You can talk about China maybe heading into a depression. You can talk about the Walmart situation where they're starting to lower their entry level employees' wages, showing that they don't need the labor. We talk about the commercial real estate stuff. We can talk about the layoffs going on. We could talk about gas prices starting to skyrocket. Um, Currently, gas prices are sitting at 5.31 in California, expected to hit $7 a gallon here in a couple months. And this time, they're not looking at that as being inflationary. They're looking at it being deflationary, because people are already tight on money.
Yeah.
And if you're having to spend an extra $30-$40 a week in gas, that's just going to pull that last little bit out of people's pockets, and they're not going to go take that trip to Disneyland. So there's a heck of a lot of stuff that is going against housing prices right now that are fighting the prices, and there's only one thing propping it up, and that's inventory.
That's the only thing. Well, also, brother, let's be honest. It's not just inventory. It's the freaking bailing out. It's the stimulus. It's the money in the system as well. The money in the system, it also has it going for it, because there's people spending money still to buy these overvalued houses. This is crazy.
Well,
Anyways,
and keep in mind the government. Again, this has nothing to do with any political parties, but the government has learned that bailouts, work, quote unquote. That the only side effect they had out of all this situation is higher inflation. So going back to the recession coming in Q4, Q1 of next year, um, on paper, I would rather go ahead and defend inflation rather than a recession and people losing jobs. Hey, you're still employed, you're still working, you're still being able to get by, and we're fighting inflation versus, hey, sorry, you're out of work and you have no money. So I think the stimulus stuff, the bailouts, all these different programs that we have, that's the wave of the future. So going back to, again, the recession side of things, I think we have a higher probability of higher inflation for longer, which means higher rates for longer than we do a complete collapse of the system.
yeah, I mean, I hear you on those bailouts. I mean, we saw it this year. They didn't even meet with Congress, bro. They met over the weekend. That upsets me, because I remember like TARP. I remember Dodd-Frank in 2008, 2000. I remember how much it took for them to print that money. And I remember, Johnny, the promise they made to the American people, and they said, we are not going to bail out banks again. They said that through the Dodd-Frank Wall Street. They said that through TARP. They said they promised us as Americans, we're not going to do it again. And then they do it again behind our backs over the weekend, and Americans don't seem to care. And that caught me off guard. I thought there were more people that care. I mean, I saw it happen. I thought there were more people. Anyways, look at this comment from Moses. Moses, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Moses, you're a realtor, I believe, in San Diego. I could be wrong now. Most realtors only look at what's going on right now. They don't care about, nor do they look into what could happen in the future. And that is 100% accurate. The reason that is broker shops, National Association of Realtors, most of them teach realtors how to cheerlead, how to talk up houses, how to sell, refinance later. They teach agents to sell. They teach them rebuttals. It's very rare that you have a broker shop like my broker shop where the broker teaches like, hey, y'all are acting like clowns. Like, stop acting like a clown, start doing your market analysis. My broker taught me all the market analysis. Yeah, I didn't know that until he sat down. He's like, Travis, let me show you how to look at a whole bunch of data and find a great deal. So, what do you notice a problem, Johnny, in your area with realtors? Do you see it? Do you not see it? Does it frustrate you? What are your thoughts on realtors overall right now?
Well, this comment ties into the rest of my family friend's journey, and what he experienced. So, you know, home sales are down what, 50% year over year. What's the number on that? That
I'll have to
I
go on.
watch my local market, but I think it's about 40 to 50%.
Yeah,
Um,
it's a lot.
Especially where it is for a couple of years ago, and you have more realtors out there right now. So realtors don't make an hourly wage. They don't make a salary, right? They're all commission based. So their job is, and granted, I know a lot of good agents. I know a lot of family friends that are good agents and good people, but if you're gonna give me the choice of, hey, put food on the table for the family and we can survive another month, or be honest in the sale and tell someone to walk away. hey, I don't feel any remorse. You're telling me you want to buy, you know, I'm going to help you buy. And then I'm going to collect my commission check and walk away. So it's tough. I was in commission sales for 10 years, you know, and I remember instances where I had to tell people, hey, this probably isn't the right move, you know. Um, but right now, if people are hungry, people are fighting for that dollar. I've seen a lot of shady stuff happen in commission sales, especially with my family friend right now. That just makes me scratch my head. So I think shadiness is out there. I don't put that as a blanket on every realtor, but there's definitely some unethical people out there. And if you're not doing your research, if you're not interviewing these people before you sign a contract with them to represent you for a year or whatever their terms are, then that's on you. You know, you need to do your research. And using family or best friends, I have never done that. That is absolutely the worst. Those are the people you trust the most, and those are the people that tend to mess over their friends and family the most. So I
Almost
wouldn't
every
do it.
time. You know, Johnny, I'm just, I'll do it for you. I'll throw a blanket statement on realtors and say most of them are absolute garbage and trash. And honestly, the entire industry should be rearranged, because I'm going to lean every single time with the consumer, because we as a society expect the consumer to understand a 50-page document. We expect as a society for a consumer to go in and fight new home builders. It's very rare where, that a consumer goes into purchasing like a champion. So, having said that, though, man, Johnny, and I'm saying that, and probably over the last 10 years, I would say probably I've met in Houston alone and trained and taught 3,000 realtors over 10 years. I mean, dude, I've been overwhelmed. I mean, I'm a glorified cheerleader, but I could tell you, man, there are good ones. I could tell you that for sure. So I understand the need to eat, but get a different line of business. Because right now we can't be messing around cheerleading when it comes to a $700,000 transaction. If you want to cheerlead some toothpaste that's organic, then cheerlead the toothpaste. If you want to cheerlead some dog food because the breath smells better and it's also organic, then do that. But when you're talking about PE ratios over 7%, talking about unaffordability 1980s, equity run up, an asset bubble like 2008, the cheerleaders need to kick rocks, man. They need to get out of here. Anyways, this he has an interesting question, and I know you have a little bit of investing skill. So Christopher is asking, should I cash out on my rental before the market crashes? You go first, Johnny.
Well, I think Travis and I will probably have a different point of view, but the same line of thinking. Number one, what does your market look like? You know, how are rentals doing over there? Are people moving into your town, city, whatever it is, or are they moving out? You know, if your outflows are higher than your inflows, your chances of renting that out in the future might be a little bit more difficult. So you got to know your market. I can tell you in my personal situation right now, I'm renting a 1 bedroom apartment. It's a luxury apartment here in Folsom. I'm paying $2,100 a month for it. Tomorrow I am going to look at a 3 bedroom house. If people know the Sacramento area, Rancho Cordova. It's not the trashy part. It's the Anatolia piece out in the middle of nowhere. It's a brand new house. I'm looking at renting it for $2,600 a month. With that being said, it's not stopping me from looking for good deals, because every
Yep.
house that I have personally owned, I look at it as how rentable is it and
Mm-hmm.
how quick can I turn it. I
Mm-hmm.
don't buy, I try not to buy 2-story homes. I try to buy 1-story homes. I try to buy houses that have a 3-car garage versus a 2-car garage. I also don't buy corner houses. I try to pick something in the middle that isn't near a busy street. And the other thing I do before I buy a house or even rent a house is I drive the community round and round again on a Friday and Saturday night, see what
Yes.
neighbors are like.
Me too.
You know, those are some basic things that cost you $0 that you can do to make sure you're walking into a good situation. But for me, even though I'm going to go rent a house most likely, um, I'm still looking for deals, because even if I
Yeah.
buy a
Yeah.
house, let's say I rent the house tomorrow and I buy a house next week, that house can turn into a rental, or I can cancel my lease and pay the fees. So I'm not going to let a good opportunity pass me by. But I'll be honest, with the markets that I'm looking in, which is Folsom, California, Cool, California, Nampa, Idaho, Meridian, Middleton, and Caldwell, Idaho. I just haven't found a deal that makes sense. And I'm sitting on I'm not sitting on my cash. My cash is out there deployed doing what it needs to right now. But it doesn't stop me from looking. My outlook is that the housing market is going to be down slowly over the next couple of years. But if I find a house and I can get 15, 20% off of the average rate's going for, or what list price is, okay, cool. I don't foresee the real estate market going down by 20% over the next 3 years. So I think I'll be sitting okay. And if the signs start showing a crash, cool. I'll put it up for what I sold it for or bought it for, and cash out my money and sit back and let everything fall apart.
So in the roundabout way, your answer is you probably shouldn't cash out on your rental in a
I would
roundabout way.
say do your research, understand what your market's doing, and see if it makes sense. And what are you going to do if you cash out the rental? What are you going to do with
Yeah.
that cash? Is it going to go into your savings account? Are you going to invest in some stocks? Are you going to short stocks?
And that would be my answer, Johnny, too. Like, so like the question is too broad. Like, should you cash out on your rental before the housing market crashes? The big thing here is it depends on your cash flow situation on your rental. And the bigger thing is it depends what will you do with that money? Because obviously when you cash out, depending on if it's a HELOC or a second mortgage or a first mortgage refi, you're going to have a higher mortgage payment. So as long as you can take the money and make more money than it cost you in interest, maybe you should do that. Now, I personally am reluctant because generally when we're right in the front end of, like, the last time anyways of the recession, everyone did that last ditch effort. Everyone wanted to max out their house, pull out money, and then the housing market crashed. So overall, it's a poor behavior. Overall, it's a normal trend. However, again, man, I think people need to, like your dad's friend Sonny. I think people really need to slow their rolls and make careful decisions. If I take out this money, why am I taking it out? Am I taking it out because I want to feel like my asset is safe? Because I don't want to be trapped out of the ability to refinance? Why am I taking this money? Overall, I don't think people should be getting into more debt right now overall. But if this man has a plan of action, right? He has markets, research goals, and he needs the money right now to do it. And he wants to do that to avoid any potential credit tightening, because it's not just prices falling, credit tightening, potentially prices falling. It may be smart of him to be, preemptive, if you will. But
Yeah, and
that's not. Go ahead.
paying taxes on your equity, what your capital gain is on the house, you got to factor that in. Are you going to 1031 exchange into something else? Do you know how that works? I personally have never done a 1031 exchange, so I would, before I even think about selling a house that I own, I would go talk to my tax professional and figure out what I can do. But I know there's certain days that you have. What is it? 45 days to find a house, and 180 days to close, I think it is, on that house that you find and you try to buy. So I mean, if the money's not going to be doing anything and your housing market's doing fine, I would probably not sell.
Yeah. I don't think selling is a good idea, man. We got a couple comments here. I mean, and that's the thing that I was trying to explain to people. The purchase contracts are extremely complicated, especially when it comes to new home building. These new home builders don't have the same regulations as realtors and loan officers, and therefore those contracts are, to me, they're unconstitutional. I mean, new home builders make people sign contracts, Johnny, with arbitration agreements in it. It's so hard for attorneys to overcome that. I wanted to throw up. Where is this at?
Well, and real quick too, another tip that I have when I go to find a real estate agent, I don't go to the big agencies. I find the little mom and pop shops, they tend to be more honest, and they tend to want to listen to what you have to say. When you go to the larger companies, I tend to find that they have to report back to a manager, and the manager wants sales, they want numbers moving. So they tend to be a little bit more pushy. It's harder to get the truth out of them, or what I'm looking for, at least. So that's another pro tip is I usually find, like, shout out Gina up in Bandon, Oregon, if you're hearing this, but I found a gal that owns her own brokerage, and it's just her. And the last time I talked to her, she had a team of 3 now. So it's just a little mom and pop thing. I can call and have a real conversation with her. I'm not getting some recorded robot response. So
It's nice. I mean, you got to find good realtors. So Johnny, here's a question from the deep. So it's the specificity in what we're saying is extreme. You know, the specificity is extreme. So can you clear this up? Are you against a crash narrative, or is what you're saying, Johnny, is literally a black swan event could pop up, domino effect, depends on what the new normal is with the bank bailout. I mean, with the bailouts of the government. I mean, what are you saying? And also, like, what's your definition of a crash, right? What do you think about the crash bro narrative?
well, so some people are the glass is half full. Some people are the glass is half empty. I'm the type of person that says the glass is refillable. So I don't get caught up in the hype. I don't get caught up in the media. When people are running out and buying stuff, I'm looking at, well, do I have that? Should I be selling it because everybody's buying? The price is starting to go up. So I wouldn't say I'm a crash bro. I'm a realist, you know. Unfortunately, I'm going to use a slogan from another channel called one rental at a time. But, you know, you got to do the work. You know, if you're buying a house today, you got to make sure you can afford it, that the income you're relying on paying that house, that it's going to be there tomorrow. You know,
Yeah.
you
Yes.
can't go off of speculation. Oh,
Yeah.
cool. I made
Yeah.
20 grand off of Bitcoin last month. I'm going to go ahead and that 20 grand is what I make per month now in my head. No, no. I have a job where my take home pay is $6,500 a month. And I have two different side businesses that I do that bring in additional income. Instead of sitting down and watching TikToks all day long, I'm figuring out another way to one, help people and to make more money. So that way I can go ahead and better my situation of myself. So am I a crash bro? No. Am I thinking that housing is going to go to the moon? I think it can go either way, but what we don't know is about the black swan, and that's what's concerning me because something like that comes this our way. I think things can change real quick. So right
Yeah.
now, I'm just being cautious and doing the work.
As you should, man. Let's see here. You know, and the thing is, man, it's so funny. I thought it was a little bit of a joke, the whole pettiness between one foreclosure at a time. And yeah, I actually agree with some of the things he says, and I love how he's constantly telling his viewers, "You got to work to find a deal." I agree with him 100% on that. What I don't agree with is, you know, how much of an egomaniac he is. And I don't agree with, you know, grown men using little dogs to promote their business. It's creepy to me. I feel like there's hidden agenda. I feel like, you know, at their house they could have a garage and a sweatshop of little dogs making, you know, Nike shoes. Who knows, man? It's just weird to me. I just don't understand it. But that's all. Yeah, we don't have to go there. But
I
I
thought I
definitely
was the
agree.
troll.
Bro, we're all trolls. But you know, I'm going to say you got to put the work in, and I definitely firmly believe that you have to put the work in. You know, I think everything else is napkin math. To be quite frank, I mean, it's simple math. The big thing for me is like the patience, man. You got to have the patience, you know. And the sad thing, Johnny, is most people aren't like, um, what's his name,
Michael Zuber.
Zuber. Most people are not like Zuber, where they have a huge resource of cash. They have a network of people. They're very intelligent when it comes to investing. Most people are using their emotion, Johnny, and and that's what I think the big hangup in his little tiff and in my tiff was. I'm not talking to mostly investors. I don't care about investors as much. I care about the consumers that are unprepared, that are like they don't understand what they're doing, and I care about them because I have a career of 22 years helping them. So I think, you know,
Well,
but you know the principles are there. Go ahead.
but I think the challenge with someone that is saying, "Hey, go out and do the work. You can find great deals." You know, Zuber pulled two houses off of Realtor.com last year and flipped them and made money on them. So he's about what he says, at least. You know, I'll give him that. But the other thing is, and I'll be honest, I used to watch a lot more of his videos than I do nowadays. The one of his shows that I watch religiously is his daily financial news. But I don't see him having a lot of people that are going against what he's saying. You know, he tends to find guests that kind of align with what his narrative is, which is go out there, do the work. The housing market is going to be even across the board. It's kind of what I'm saying too. I think this winter I think November, December. Again, if you're looking at buying a house, I'd probably give it a couple months and see what happens. But I think we're going to see a decent dip, and then as buying season happens next year, I think we're going to go back up. Um, but I think that's the challenge with people that get stuck to their narrative, and get dig their feet in the ground about whatever they want to prove or say. I've been wrong 1,000 times, and I'll be wrong 1,000 times again in the future. So I always take a look at everything on both sides of the equation. When I go to look at a news story, something that's breaking right now, sometimes I'll look at Fox and CNN, to get both perspectives. So
It's man, the media is and I'll be honest, man. I think like, people like him are the problem. The sub two culture. Let me get 200 doors. I think they're the problem. I think there's way too much greed, corruption in the housing market, and I think that's clear as day. Right now it's not against the law. But I'm wondering, like those two homes that were flipped. I mean, it could have been a first time home buyer's forever home. I don't like it, Johnny. It's just my personal opinion, man. But I think that there's skills to be learned. And I think those skills to be learned are very valuable, whether someone has the same opinion or not. I think we have skills to learn. But again, man, I'm sick and tired of people having 300 doors when we got 60% of America desperate, obsessed with being a homeowner. And we got these guys that are so well leveraged, they don't need to try anymore. They just need to wake up. I'm going to buy a house. That's it. That's not fair to me,
well,
but it
you
is what it is,
you,
man.
you write books and you sell real estate courses. That's what you start doing at that point, because you're not buying any more deals right now. How many deals has some of these the people that think housing's going to the moon that have 500 doors? How many houses have they bought in the last year and put them up as rentals? I don't hear a lot of people that are gung ho about the real estate market talking about how they just closed a deal of 3 to 5 residential properties and they're listing them right now. I don't hear that. I hear them saying, "Hey, it's a good time to buy."
I mean, dude, like I said, man, I don't want to keep talking about that guy, but there's value, man. I personally can't watch it myself. It's too cringe, but I mean, there's value for sure. Now, I have another thing here. This is from Eric, Island Eric. I don't think this guy's problems is with realtors. It's with corrupt salespeople, but he has an angle or hates realtors. The thing is, I've been in this, Johnny, for 22 years. I've been doing this for over 2 decades. And there's just a point where I hit in my career where the circus show just got under my skin. The circus show got under my skin because there's too many consumers that were getting taken advantage of and too many consumers that weren't doing their own thinking for them. So I pulled away and I said, I don't want to be a part of this. And it is what it is. I don't want to say that I necessarily hate people, but what I do hate, Johnny, is bullies. I have a hard time watching someone bully an innocent person, whether it's buying a house or whatever it is. And I struggle with that. But this person's right. I mean, mainly my issue is with the corruption, uh, but also there's a level of stupidity. There's people, the realtors that are not just corrupt. There's realtors that are just they're not savvy enough to properly go through a transaction. And if they're working with another realtor that's a strong realtor that is savvy, they're going to get swallowed alive. And it's just the way the business is. So I wouldn't
Well,
say that
and
I hate people,
and
but I
everyone's
don't.
a product of their own environment. So for me, I've been around a lot of toxic salespeople and a lot of people that were highly commission based. So my instinct is, if I'm ever talking to anybody that's trying to sell me anything, my first instinct is to question them and think that they're not coming from a place of wholesomeness. They need to sell me something so they can make money. So what's the angle and how am I going to get screwed out of the deal? Those are the things that I look at every time I talk to a sales rep.
Have you
Uh,
heard a sales rep say home values only go up and you can refinance later? Have you ever heard that?
I've heard that on plenty
Don't
of
you think
YouTube.
that's dangerous?
Well, it's dangerous for the uneducated person. If you're
Yeah.
doing,
How many consumers, or Johnny, do you think are educated like you?
um, I, out
Have you
of
seen the
everyone
buyer's
that
remorse survey?
I have, I think that at least from my level of attention that I give things, I would say maybe 20 to 30% of people in the world are probably like me in the way they question and look at things. But um, again, my family friend a month ago called my dad and said, "Hey, I think I want to buy an SUV and trade in my brand new F-350 that I bought." Okay, what kind of SUV do you think you're going to buy? I don't know yet. I'm going to go take a look today, though. Okay, cool. Next day, he calls my dad. Hey, I bought a brand new Volvo SUV. They gave me $10,000 off the asking price, and they're going to give me 85 grand for my truck when I go to trade it in. And they're going to give me a few days to try to sell it on my own. Okay, well, what'd you read about the Volvo? Oh, I just, it was a nice car. I wanted to buy it. Okay, cool. Did
Yeah.
zero research. 2 days later, went back into the dealership. They said, sorry, the book on your truck went down to 78,000. So lost $7,000 there. It wasn't written in the deal that he would get 85. And then on top of that, the conversation I had with him last night, he hates the Volvo.
The thing is like, dude, I wish it was like if we just look at our YouTube community, Johnny, like I feel like like half of the consumers are super smart, right? Realistically, I'm not joking, man. I have been a part of probably thousands of closed transactions. From what I have seen, it's just depressing, man. I mean, if I thought 30% of consumers were purchasing wisely, I'd be happy, man. But I fear like it's way lower than 20 to 30. At least the people that are buying right now, I feel like it's way lower than 20 to 30%. I mean, your own father's friend that's in his 60s, that's went through the inflationary crisis, Great Depression. The guy's throwing his money away. He's purchasing real estate sight unseen. I mean, what's going on in his head? When your sentiment changes, again, it's like a domino effect. But what I want to do, Johnny, here's my MLS. People, I just want to show people, at least in my market, and we've been looking at Kingwood, inventory is going up, prices are going down, and price cuts are flourishing. But this is in my local market. I've showed the viewers this a lot. This is Kingwood. We now have 95 listings. Oh, actually, it just changed to 94. So we have more listings right now than we have pretty much all year, Johnny. And what I also want to show, let me go back here. I want to show you the price cuts and the days on market, because the thing is, bro, is it's not selling. Things are not selling here. Things are getting worse. I can find property at 2020 values. But let me show you one of the best places in the Houston area is called the Woodlands. Okay. So right now the Woodlands has 141 listings. You can see that right here, 141 listings. Now the amount of listings with price decreases is 37. So what is that? About 30% of the listings in one of the most valuable areas have price cuts. Let me show you the range in prices, because some people like it's only going to be under 800,000. It's only going to be under this. But when we see here, these are all the listings in the Woodlands with price cuts. We can see the price cuts are happening on the bottom as well as the top. They're starting in the high 200,000s price cut, and their entire spectrum. And not only that, I want to show you something else when it comes to new construction. And this is how important that localized market is, right? You can't see this, and a lot of people can't see this in their markets. When I go again and I put, say, Conroe in here, which is a pretty big area. I don't know if you've heard of Conroe. Conroe has 1,200 listings. See that? 1,200 listings. If I just put what are the new builds 2022 to 2023, there's 700, bro. There's what, 60%? Look at that. 700 new homes active listing. And that's not even everything listed on MLS. In Conroe alone, over around 60% of the active listings are new homes. That could create a huge problems. Let me see if I can get the results here
Well, and like
real
I showed you
quick.
last night in Folsom, the houses under 700,000 in my
Yeah,
area, in my
yeah.
town, they're going up in price while the houses above 700,000 are crashing in price. So eventually, if that trend continues, the top tier houses are going to compress down to where the bottom tier houses are, the smaller houses, the cheaper houses. It's going to drive those price down if that continues.
So
So
so here's going back to the new homes, because your Folsom sucks actually. But I want you to access MLS. This is why I beg so many viewers, like, hey, you guys, like, get your license so we can access data. But here's Conroe, and I mean, and you look at the price points here, man. I mean, this is the low price point, 155,000 price cut,
yeah,
319 price cut,
go
299 price cut. Where's my inventory shortage? Where's my inventory shortage? I can't. It's just the thing that is wild to me is there's not more houses that have price decline. The
Well, and
prices are still elevated.
I think Texas is a little bit cooked in a way because you had a whole bunch of people that ran from California with all the
Oh my
COVID
gosh.
restrictions. So
Yes.
during the cerveza sickness, Sacramento was underneath lockdowns a lot. But if I went one exit up on the freeway and went to El Dorado County, no mask, everyone's it's like in normal time. So a lot of people ran to Texas and they got out there and they realized they can't handle bugs. And I'm seeing that in the numbers in Folsom at least. They're coming back to California. So yeah, your market's a little cooked. And my market in a way is a little cooked too, but somewhere like Boise, I think is going to struggle for quite a long time.
Dude, what about Austin? Like people are talking about Phoenix and boy, like I'm just like, did everyone forget about Austin? Austin is all messed up right now, and the inventory is up. Prices are down. The buying demand is crazy. And you know what? Let me see if I could find the article. I was looking at an article the other day. You know what's really interesting, Johnny? It was Redfin. Redfin's new article. They were listing like the top metro areas with price decline. Okay, like I think three of the top six are in Texas. When have you? There's never been through the last great financial collapse, any certain price declines. Texas has really been immune to a lot of the price declines when we look at the last financial collapse. So the fact that Texas is like now somehow shockingly leading the way, to me that represents a few things. And one of the things it represents is unless the migration continues, and that's why the prices went up, like migration, right? Whether it's jobs or they're moving from an expensive metro to an affordable metro, when the migration stops, the demand isn't there to prop it up. And I think we see that in Austin. I think we're starting to see it in Dallas. We're seeing it in San Antonio. And you know what I'm really interested, Johnny, is what's going to happen to Dallas. I think if people want to see the effects of short-term rentals and Airbnbs, I think you got to watch Dallas and Las Vegas because they already have the laws in place. Las Vegas laws in place, Dallas laws in place. Now it's up to the counties and the government officials to enforce. Once they start kicking the doors down, domino effect. We haven't seen the domino effect in panic selling anywhere.
Well,
Bits and pieces, but not a huge influx of inventory, and price decline has not happened in these STR areas. But
but
it's just go ahead.
the short-term rentals though, it all depends how the owner, right? The operator of the Airbnb bought the house and what they have into it, right? So if they bought it 4 or 5, 6 years ago, they probably have some equity. They probably refinanced and got a super low rate. As long as they didn't drag a whole bunch of equity out of there, they're probably sitting good to where they can convert those to a long-term rental and be just fine. They're not going to be making the same returns that they were as a short-term rental, but they'll be fine. My concern when it comes to the Airbnbs is that so many people were so greedy and moved fast on homes. How many of those people that had a good setup
Yeah.
to convert these, right? How many of
Yes.
them took
Yes.
out seconds, refinanced to
Yes.
pull out equity and
Yeah.
bought more at higher
Yeah.
prices? That's where the concern is going to
100%.
be. And I don't know the numbers on that. So
Right.
if
Right.
it's high, then yeah, it's going to be a severe problem. If it's low and people bought smart, then those
Well,
convert into long-term rentals.
but Johnny, that's what we're talking about, brother. I mean, really, what mine and your point, basically, even though we won't necessarily agree on all of the outcomes exactly the same, you and I, even Zuber, have the same point. We have the same point. Preparation, awareness. If people want to get lucky, you got to be prepared. Without preparation, the luck doesn't matter. The luck is the opportunity. We're both saying preparation. The better someone did when they invest in Airbnb, Johnny, the better they're going to do through tightening. The worst someone did investing in Airbnb, the worst they're going to do. And here's the thing, normally, like the huge influx at the end there of Airbnb, normally it's blown out of proportion. Normally the people that sign up at the end have the biggest struggle to adapt. And I think, I don't know the percentages either, especially the recent Airbnb owners, I think a lot of them just rushed in, probably got those DCLR loans, and they probably set up their cash flow to cash flow like Airbnb. Airbnb cash flow is higher than long-term rentals. So if they have to convert, let's not forget, if some of them, not all, are converting from short term to long term, their cap rate is going to plummet more than likely. Because again, I've seen things, Johnny, where it's like 30, 40% more profit in short term rentals. So, but do we think that most of these people are first time investors that usually don't know too much? Or do we think that they're more seasoned investors, savvy, maybe like the Zubers, right? What type of investors do you really think these STR people are?
A gal that I work with, um, I got to be careful with this one. She bought a cabin up in Tahoe. I want to say she paid 1.4 mil and turned it into an Airbnb. Was
Dang.
renting it out for like 600-700 bucks a night. She said that her from where she was at the height of everything, she's about 40 to 30% of that right now, and she's thinking about turning it into a long-term rental. I go, I, I don't know the numbers, but can you rent it out and still turn a profit? She's like, maybe we'll just move up there and we'll just use it as a second home. I go, how can you do that? Because I know how much money you make. Like how? So it's interesting. Yeah, I
It's
think
interesting.
there's some people out there that made mistakes, and there's always going to be those people. It's just how many people made that mistake. So we'll see.
I mean, dude, when I see out there, I don't like, and I'm on these message boards, and it's just a lot of it is emotion and like hurrah nonsense. But again, like the more prepared, the more realistic our expectations are. The generally, barring like medical stuff, the better off we're going to do. So, like, in other words, don't don't buy emotionally. Um, let's see here. There was Here's a comment. I mean, here's Moses. So Moses is a realtor, Johnny. He, I believe, became a realtor last year. He mentioned it on the channel. A lot of love for him. He's basically accesses MLS. He's seeing new listings oversold and pending price declines are blowing. I think he's saying that price declines are blowing up and the market is shifting. The reason I threw this up is obviously he's a viewer, but he's in Orlando. He's in Florida. We did not see overall price decline in Florida. It appears that Florida is softening now, that the migration is not necessarily keeping up with the price sustainability as a result of so many natives being priced out. I mean, do you think, Johnny, from your wealth of knowledge, do you think that Florida is going to overall remain untouched from any price crashing, correction, or decrease?
I think any market could have serious problems with home prices. Any market. Um, I don't know much about Florida. The one thing I do know is information taken from your man crush Michael B. I watch his Michael Bordenero. I watch all of
Yeah.
his videos, and it seems like the homeowners insurance out there is a serious problem that people are facing.
Oh yeah.
And when you start adding up all the costs of increase in their property taxes because their homes are appreciating, you add in the extra costs of now your homeowners insurance that are being a couple $100 a month. Now it's going to be 700, 800, 1,000. And I always remember as a kid, this is 10 years ago, 20 years ago, Florida was a big retirement spot for older people because lower taxes they had to pay and properties were affordable. And I was looking up just for the hell of it, rental prices in Florida, Texas, and stuff like that. It's almost like everybody's using the same price per square foot. It's crazy that like everywhere is high right now. And
Yeah.
again, I'm not seeing the huge decline. So I think Florida, with how much they went up and the current problems they're having, and then also if they keep getting smacked by hurricanes,
Yeah.
the cushy Californians that have to deal with their ground shaking every once in a while that move there, they're going to say, "Oh, I don't want to deal with this anymore. Let's go back to California." I think Florida can see some big problems.
Yeah. I live on the Panhandle in Texas, man, and these hurricanes. Because I'm from California. When I first moved to Texas, the first hurricane that I experienced was hurricane, like a real hurricane where it like devastated, was Hurricane Harvey. And dude, I got an award. I don't know where it is. I got an award for helping 88 families out of their houses where there was raging water. And I remember when I was in ground zero, I was like, you know what? I'm an able-bodied person. I'm gonna go help these families that are like drowning right now. really affected my soul when I saw that. A couple things that I noticed, man. The community comes together. That was a beautiful thing, but you cannot control water. It blew me away, the destruction of the water. I mean, there's nothing to stop it from wiping people out. I mean, I saw three elderly people get swept away right in front of me. Three elderly people get swept away right in front of me, man. And no one saved, no one, it was me that had to jump into the water. And looking back, man, I could have got electrocuted. I could have jumped into some jagged metal, right? I'm a shark fisherman. People are like, why did you do it? I'm like, I'm a shark fisherman. I go out kayaking at night, pitch black, shark fishing. But my point is like, dude, it hurt so many people that were not prepared for that Hurricane Harvey because it was not in a flood zone originally. Hurricane Harvey created multiple new flood zones, which essentially means a lot of the people that got wiped out, they weren't insured, Johnny. A lot of people weren't insured. So it hurt the housing market. It hurt that area, the housing market, the community, the rebuilding. It was very scary. It was very ugly. So the hurricanes aren't stopping, is the point I'm trying to make. And more than likely, the insurance is just going to get more money. It is going to get more expensive. And that's a great point. You know, they're really chiseling down on homeowners, home buyers, renters, really all Americans right now. They're paying, they're paying quite the fee. Now, I wanted to bring this comment up, and the fee is a tax, and the tax is inflation. But I wanted to bring this comment up from OSO. OSO, appreciate you commenting, man. It's nice to see you. He's basically saying those with adjustable rates are on their way to deep shock, let's just say. So I wanted to clear something up, Johnny. A lot of people are saying, and this was actually me, Kevin said this on his video. It drives me a little crazy because I was a loan officer at the beginning of the Great Financial Collapse. Like before the Great Financial Collapse started was right when I got in. I remember I was in Hawaii. I decided to be a loan officer. Rates started going down. I was like, oh, this is perfect timing. And so I went through the whole thing, and I did hundreds of transactions back in 2002 to 2008. It was in the middle of it. And I could tell you that the reason for the collapse was not necessarily because of adjustable rate mortgages. In fact, most of the people that lost their houses, including me, still had a fixed rate, and their payment did not adjust yet. And in fact, some of those people, a lot of those people, Johnny, their payments went down, not up. Because if you remember, during the Great Financial Collapse, the Fed started cutting rates, not increasing rates. So a lot of those people that had these adjustable rate mortgages, their payments could have gone down, not up. So what happened last time was the deregulation of income qualification, which means I can tell a loan officer, hey, I work at Del Taco, but I make $150,000 a year, and you have to trust me. And that's how lending worked back then. All right. What that means is consumers were buying houses that they really couldn't afford, Johnny. Consumers were buying houses that they really can't afford. And what aggravated the situation? Unemployment. Unemployment aggravated the situation. I was this really well at the time, I was this well-off person, a lot of knowledge, and I couldn't get a job at Walmart back then. So I really think that people need to understand it's not necessarily the adjustable rate mortgages. It's how loose the guidelines were back then. And ultimately, what it all boiled down to, people stopped making their mortgage payments. If people stop making their mortgage payments, it doesn't matter if you have fixed, adjustable, it doesn't matter. So when I see, when OSO is saying, I think that there's going to be a level of recent homeowners that did the buy down, the temporary buy down, which it's not an adjustable rate mortgage, it's a temporary buy down. Those are starting to come due, right? Because remember, the new home builder started with 3-2-1 buy downs. So your rate was 5%, and then it goes to 6, and then it goes to 7. So OSO makes a good point where a lot of those people that purchased a house hoping they can refinance later, right? Oh, I'll just refinance later. Their mortgage payments are going to start going up $200, $300, $400. And that's before their tax assessment updates. Because remember, when it comes to new construction, your mortgage is going to go up for many reasons. One, that rate buy down, but also generally with new construction, you're not assessed yet from the county tax collector. So a lot of times if you buy a new home and you don't set up your escrow account properly and your aggregate adjustment, it's just basically like your taxes and insurance are included in your payment. There's some homeowners that purchase new construction that are paying taxes and set up their escrow account based on the land and not the dwelling. And they get stuck with like a $10,000 bill at the end of the year. Their mortgage payment goes up $700. So I think that adjustable rates, they can be a problem, but I just always go back, Johnny. I think the real problem here is the lack of awareness from consumers. I think it's the obsession with purchasing a house. I think that obsession has clouded people. I think when people get emotional, they stop constructive, critical thinking. And when you top that and you add abrasive sales agents that are desperate to make money, because you said it yourself, they're on commission. They just want to feed their family, Johnny. They just want to feed their family, Johnny. So when you throw that in to the mix, it's an ugly market right now.
Well, and my thought too is America's built on being, well, at least nowadays, it wasn't back in the day, but as of today, its foundation is to be a consumer. We don't produce as Americans anymore. We consume. We import more than we export. So it's kind of the American way to buy stuff when you shouldn't buy stuff. You got to keep up with the Joneses, and everybody that I'm talking to right now that wants to buy a house feels like they need to buy a house.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that they want or they can buy a house. They feel like they need to. And I almost got caught up in that, towards the end of last year. And, hindsight, I'm glad that I didn't buy because I'm in a better situation right now. But again, I'm looking 2-3 years down the road and I'm mapping out the different paths I can take depending on what the housing market does. If the housing market continues to go up, I'm looking for vacant flat land, 2 properties. I'm going to build 2 houses at once. I'm going to move into one, put them both up for rent or sale. We'll see what happens. And whichever one sells, I move into the other one, or whichever one rents out, I'll move into the other one and I'll use the other one as a rental. If the housing market starts to crash, maybe I look at building 4 or 5 homes at once, turn those into rentals. Maybe I just buy some fixers that need some light stuff and I turn those into rentals. But I'm not afraid of buying a house right now. And I don't think people should be afraid of doing anything in life, right? You only get one shot at life. Don't live in fear at all.
What about shark fishing? Should they be afraid of that?
Those poor creatures. Why are you doing that?
Yeah, you nice redirection.
Yeah, geez. Just out there, just hurting those poor little fish, swimming around, living their lives, and you're just dragging them up on shore.
And what am I doing once they're on shore?
Yeah, starving them for the oxygen they need out of the water. Okay?
I'm endangering myself. I'm tagging, I'm measuring, I'm taking a DNA sample, and I'm putting them back in the water, and I'm giving that information to all the regulators at the NOAA, National Oceanic Administration Institution, and they're studying the migration patterns to basically regulate commercial fishing. Anyways, what have you done for the sharks, Johnny? What have you done for the sharks?
I haven't shot them. I haven't dragged them out of the ocean. I haven't harvested them. I
haven't harvested.
You know what I've done? You know what I've done for the sharks? I've left them alone. And I don't eat tuna.
And that's the problem, because you're just letting them die by commercial fishermen. At least I'm stepping up, man. At least I'm putting myself in the, in that hot seat. I love it though. That's not why I'm doing it. I love helping the conservation. I just like the thrill. I like getting in a kayak, 1 a.m. You can't see. Your buddy's like, is you really going to do this? And then I see my friend do it. I mean, I love it. I love it. It's just me, the ocean, the darkness, and killer fish. And honestly, there's no better feeling in the world when you make it back to land safely.
Well, so like, I've been fishing a few times, I've been hunting a few times. The challenge with me though, is that one, I feel like if I'm going to go out and
I'm listening.
Okay. If I'm going to go take down a deer, right, I need to harvest it. I need to use the meat, all that stuff. But, I just don't like doing that. So the times that I went hunting, oh, look at that. Look at that poor shark that probably has a family.
No, this washed up. This shark washed up. We saved it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about you, Travis.
How serious I am about my shark fishing.
But I just, and like same thing for the fish. Like I've been fishing and pulled them up, and I gave the fish to my buddy, because he was going to cook them and eat them. But I'd rather go to Chick-fil-A and get my chicken. I don't want to raise my own chickens. If that makes sense.
I want to raise my own chickens. Honestly, dude, you know what a fantasy is? to me is just to be off the grid, man. I want to be off the grid so bad. I want to get some land, grow food. Um, honestly, I'm worried, Johnny. I am worried, man. I'm not trying to be stuck in this crash narrative. There's a reason why I think prices will crash. There's reasons why I think it. I've seen it. I've got hit. But I'm also afraid that the government's going to continue to try to do everything they can to normalize this situation. And the problem with normalizing the situation, Johnny, is the wealth gap, brother. The wealth gap right now. If they normalize these prices, if they don't go down, and we don't have some type of correction, the wealth gap is going to be even more depressing than it. I mean, it's going to be an absolute American tragedy. The wealth gap right now is it's I'm speechless. I'm
Well,
speechless what it takes to be a homeowner. Go ahead.
and that's why nobody should be sitting back on their hands, right?
Yeah.
If you're not
Yes.
buying a house because you think it's going to crash, that's fine, but what are you doing to make yourself more money? What are you doing with the money that you have? Are you spending your time watching TikTok videos? I watch Travis's channel and I watch a few other real estate and macroeconomic channels because I get value and it helps me, I guess, understand what's going on in the world and pick up on things that I missed. But I'm not going to TikTok to watch like those scary videos or anything. Like I just, I want to be educated. I want to learn. I used YouTube 10 years ago to build a house. And
That's so cool.
I made $100,000 in that house. So guess what I
Proud of you,
did?
man.
I made another house, built another house, built a house that was going to be a future Airbnb before Airbnb was a thing. Confused a lot of the builders up there because they all built raised foundations. And I'm like, no, I want a solid slab. Oh, nobody does that up here. Cool. If you want to build my house, I want a solid slab. Okay. Yeah. It's just kind of awkward. Nobody does that. And then as soon as the house is done, the builder goes, I like this so much better. Okay. As he said, he told me, so I went in and looked at all the wiring and the plumbing before the sheetrock was going up. And he goes, yeah, sheetrockers are going to be in tomorrow and stuff like that. I'm like, cool. Can we put insulation in all the bathroom walls and the bedroom walls? Well, why would you do that? Well, and at this time I had my girlfriend's father with me. And I said, well, if I have his daughter, in one of the bedrooms and, we're having a conversation and he's sleeping in the other bedroom, I think that insulation will help keep the noise down. Or if I eat bad Chinese food and I'm in the bathroom, that
Yeah.
insulation will help keep the noise down. He's like,
Excuse me.
I've never really thought about it like that. We can do it. Yeah. Okay. So we went out and bought insulation. We put it in all the walls of all the bedrooms and the bathrooms. After the house is done, he went in the bathroom. He started banging on the walls and stuff. He's like, dude, I'm going to start doing that on all the builds. So it was like, I walk through builds nowadays and I kind of question what's going on. The cheaper wood they're using. You look at wood 20 years ago, the density of the wood and stuff like that. It's just,
Yeah.
I'm 2x6 construction. Some places allow 2x4 for the structural walls. Like it's, I don't know. It's weird. It's a weird time.
Cajun Army. The Cajun Army was late in Hurricane Harvey. It was they got the Cajun Army when I was in Hurricane Harvey getting the people out. They got there like when we were done working. Man, just back to Hurricane Harvey, man. Jeez, I can't tell you how crazy that was, Johnny. I remember like on the fourth or fifth day of rescuing people, like there was no more people to rescue, and the crime started getting out of control. And people started robbing people's houses that were like flooded, and they started shooting at like rescue workers. So they had like called in the National Guard, and they called like the sheriff's department. And then the last day when we decided to stop, the reason why we decided to stop is the sheriff was trying to recruit us because we had watercraft because we had to get back in there, and they're like, we need your boat. Can you escort us? And they're like armed, with AR-15s and bulletproof jackets. And we're like, dude, we're here to help. We're here to save people. We're not here to. It just gets crazy. Is my point. So the insurance is a problem. They're called Cajun Army, by the way. Now, lastly, Johnny, and we'll get going here, man. If you could just say one thing to the viewers, whoever's still online right now. A lot of people know you. Some people don't know you. A lot of people love you. Some people don't understand you're trolling, and they maybe don't like you. I don't know. But I certainly appreciate you, Johnny, and I certainly love you. And I am proud of you for what you're doing and your ability to communicate your own opinion. You're doing your own thinking. Can you tell the viewers, Johnny, can we end here? Can you tell the viewers what you're doing on the sideline. Obviously, you're an educated person. You're strong. You have money. You've already built houses. You believe in education, in patience, and awareness. What are you doing, Johnny, to stay ahead?
So a couple things that I'm working on right now. One, I want to start a YouTube channel because I think there's a lot of news out there that the mainstream media is not talking about. So there's that aspect as far as income that I want to start a YouTube channel to bring in another source of income. I do have two side businesses that I do to keep me busy. Again, I don't watch TV. I don't watch football. I'm always trying to learn something new. Hopefully, one day something really grabs my attention and I run with it. But I have two businesses. One's more of like a job consulting, especially in the line of government work, helping pick out jobs, positions, and helping people take tests, whatever it may be, to get them going on their path. The second one that I'm doing now is the hats. So I don't have a formal website to give people. All my sales so far has been word of mouth. I just closed a 200 hat deal for a paving company, which is going to net me about $2,000 in profit.
Congrats.
So, I just stay busy, and I got my dog laying at my feet. He's not a little Yorkie or whatever that thing is. He is a golden retriever. And what,
It's a Maltese.
oh, Maltese. Yeah, there you go. Either way, that looks like a dirty mop head. But
Well, I mean, it basically is. That's my issue.
um,
Anyways,
no, but him and I go for hikes and stuff like that.
yeah, cool dog.
My friend group that I have, I'm trying to get them all to start their little side businesses. I have one of my friends that I converted into making hats. I have another guy that's investing. My cash right now, most of it is in short-term T-bills. I usually go with the 6 month because right now that's getting the best rate.
Yeah.
I do have some money into Meet Kevin's PP ETF. So I do have some money in there. I'm playing a couple
Okay.
of the ETFs. I don't have any money in any individual stocks.
Can I ask you, Johnny, how is his PP performing?
So from it went the point that he went live to now, I think he's up 23%. I bought
Wow.
it when it started to
Yeah.
dip. So my portion that I have in there, which I haven't added to the allocation, is up about 30%. And yeah, I've taken a little bit of a haircut over the last few days, but
Yeah.
it's not about, timing the market, especially when it comes to buy a house. It's about time in the market. So I'm not touching that right now, but I'm getting to the point where I want to pull that back out. I'm going to use some of that money to buy some more laser engravers so I can make more hats and be able to scale this at a larger level. So I'm working.
Yeah.
The downtime that I use, spend time with friends and family, and going on hikes with the dog. But constantly learning. Again, I watch YouTube videos and learn how to build a house, and took that risk. Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
I love it. I love it. I'm so proud to hear you say that. So basically, Johnny is continuously learning, even though he's learned a lot, even though he understands his goals, he's continuously learning. He's investing in himself, which could be a very smart thing to do in front of a recession. He's investing in himself. He's increasing his income. He's making smart decisions. He's basically you could say his down payment, putting it into T-bills. Proud of you, man. I mean, it's a beautiful thing. And I'm doing something similar. I have probably three or four sources of income. I have my side job, which is obviously has to do with shark fishing. So I have like a tackle company, obviously a realtor. Although I haven't been making any money as a realtor, loan officer, haven't been making any money. CE instructor, everyone wants me to instruct and whatnot. But you know what I'm thinking, Johnny? I'm actually thinking of going into commercial real estate. I think I'm going to go all in on commercial. I think I will put my 2 week notice in to my corporate job. I have a corporate job as well. It's a W-2 job. Quitting that job would temporarily hurt my purchasing power, but I still have enough purchasing power. I think I'd be fine. I really want to invest in myself, and I want to go after commercial real estate. I feel like in commercial real estate, we're not going to be dealing with consumers that are making bad decisions, and I don't want to be part of those bad decisions right now. When I believe the real estate market's it's a lot healthier, I'll push residential real estate again because I'm good at it, and I have skills, and I can help people, and I can find people great deals. I could do that right now. But man, if it's not on my heart, I can't do it. And right now, I think I'm gonna go commercial, man. And not only that, Johnny, there's like billions and billions of dollars in commercial that's going to be forced to refinance. I want to be on the ground floor of that. I want to be on the inside. I want to see what the commercial lenders are doing. I want to see the
Yeah,
desperation.
there's
That's
going
what
to
I
be a
want to be a
lot of
part of.
opportunity coming up for commercial
And,
real estate. A
and
lot
honestly,
of real estate's going to change hands.
and honestly, to be honest, I've already started doing that. And Orlando Minor has actually been teaching me a lot about commercial real estate, commercial financing. We've been going over rate sheets and matrices and guidelines and underwriting. And I haven't pushed it on my channel much. I put it in my description just because I'm not ready. I want to go all in, and I don't want to push people away. I don't want people to have a concept, Johnny, that I'm saying the things that I'm saying to make money. I'm saying the things that I'm saying because I believe it with all my heart and soul, and I tell people the reason why. And the reality is, man, I mean, I can make so much more money if I was just a realtor. I'd make so much more money, right? And if I'm wrong about the house market, I get to sell real estate. I don't want people to go through the nightmare and the depression and lose every. When I lost everything in 08, 09, Johnny, I feel like I was like a young meat Kevin back then. I was just taking over the world. I made one bad decision and I paid for it for 9 years. One bad decision. But I lost everything mentally, the confidence, the motivation. It was gone. The happiness, my family, all because I bought an overpriced house. And I lost my job. Right. It wasn't necessarily the house was overpriced. My mortgage payment was $5,000 and I was like 22, 23. Why did I have a $5,000 mortgage payment? And this was back in 08. So I don't want people to have to go through that. Ultimately, I can't make people do stuff, Johnny, but I mean, that's really what's motivating me here. I mean, it gets me really bothered, Johnny. It really bothers me, man, when I see people not understanding what I'm saying. It bothers me because I want to see that I'm helping. I want to see that I'm helping, and I really hope that I really hope that I am, man. And I really appreciate you, Johnny. I know you're very smart. You don't have to listen to me, so I hope I'm helping you. Even I don't know if I am, but I'm trying. I got Sonny back there to help you. That's for you. That was for
uh,
you.
no,
That's for you, bro.
you're definitely
I mean, not
helping me
Sonny.
out.
That's brightness. I'm sorry. Dang it. That's brightness.
Your love and affection for Mr. Zuber is amazing.
I'm just playing with him. Honestly, I'm sure he's a great guy. I'm just
Um,
joking.
yeah, I think you're helping people and stuff like that. I just, everyone's going to be dealt a bad hand of cards. Life's going to keep feeding you lemons. It's up to you to call the bluff or to turn those lemons into lemonade. Unfortunately, as you get older too, I'm 38 now. The bad news, it just keeps coming, and the good news is becoming less and less, but you got to remain positive. There's always a
I
better
know.
tomorrow. There's always a different tomorrow. So you just got to keep fighting, having fun with life, take the risks, take the chances that, you know, back in October, I woke up, it was Friday morning and I had Monday and Tuesday off. It was 5 a.m. and I said, after work, I'm going to drive to Yellowstone. That's a 14-hour drive. Went to work, worked a full day. After work, drove straight to
That's
Yellowstone and
awesome.
spent 3 days in Yellowstone.
That's so cool.
So, you know, just do what you want to in life. Don't live
That's
in fear.
that's what. Yeah, man. It really discourages me when I hear people thinking that what we're trying to do is keep people frozen in fear. That's the last thing that if people are frozen in fear, then they're just going to get swept up in the wind and education doesn't matter. It's that we have to be aware. Now, if you're afraid for what you're aware of now, so be it. But if you're not afraid, usually the awareness allows you to adjust and to evolve and to not be swept up like the rest of the sheep. But anyways, man, I just wanted to say real quick to the realtors, Moses, uh, Eric, if you guys are realtors and you guys have access to the MLS and you guys want to come on some of my morning lives, email me. My email is in the description. I would love to have realtors come on, Johnny, whether it's California, Maryland, New Jersey, New York, wherever you guys are at. and you're a realtor, please email me. I want to be able to show the viewers data in your market. So if you're a realtor and you understand how I'm doing this market analysis, if you can come on my channel, I would love for you to come on my channel and do a market analysis on your market. I think that would be extremely valuable to do. So email me if you guys are interested in doing that. Johnny, we've been talking for almost 2 hours, man. Mad love to you.
And
I'm gonna get going.
we didn't
Go
even
ahead.
finish my stories about my my family members. But you know what? That we could say those for a later date because they're pretty funny.
Honestly, I mean, yeah, man, but we didn't go into all of it, but it was just basically some guy making emotional decisions. I really valued your perspective because we don't have the same, we have a lot of the same principles and values in ethics, which is good. But because of various reasons, we have different uh, conclusions with some things, and I value that from you. And I just wanted to say thank you. So, Johnny, before we go, man, do you want to say anything?
No, just remember to sign that dollar bill when you send it at the end of the year because you know, I hate to say it, I'm always right. It's my curse. So
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm not going to go there. I almost slammed you, but I was like, nah, he showed me so much love. And I guess not. If I owe you the dollar and Jeff and Vital Signs, which where's Vital Signs been?
I haven't seen him in chat as of late.
Really? I haven't seen him either. I'm worried about him. I'll probably call him, man. But appreciate you, Johnny. And I'm going to get you. That's it. Nothing else?
No, just thank you for having me on. It's always a treat to talk to you. I enjoy our text messages back and forth. So
My
and
God, talk so
chat
much smack.
again. There's always a different tomorrow. There's always a better tomorrow. Don't live in fear. You know, if right now is the time that you want to buy a house, just make sure you're doing the right thing. I don't know if it's the right time. In my areas it's not, but it could be different where you live. So just make sure you do your research.
All right, I love it. And again, you guys email me if you have some data. If you guys want me to talk about some stories, email me. I have someone that's helping with my emails. I was on my email for like 5 hours yesterday, so it's really hard. But we definitely appreciate you guys. Sit tight with me, okay, Johnny?
Sounds good.
All right, you guys. You guys see Johnny trolling it? You guys are gonna see Johnny trolling. You guys are gonna see Johnny trolling all over the place. Understand he's just mostly just joking. Show this man some love. You understand his principles. And other than that, guys, if you're out there investing in real estate, you know I wish you luck. And we both, I'm speaking for you, Johnny, hope you win.